Today's video is all about Google Cloud Platform refresher, about all the learning that we have performed in previous GCP sessions regarding introduction, free account with $300, service model, cheat sheet, Cloud Shell, and GCP billing.
Welcome everyone, my name is Rohit Garg and this is our YouTube channel Decode ITES. Decode ITES provides you single learning platform for multiple IT technologies. Introduction to Google Cloud Platform. What is Google Cloud Platform or GCP? Google was initially famous for search engine, then YouTube, and now the latest one is Google Cloud. Google Cloud is combination of GCP, Google Cloud Platform, and G Suite, machine learning APIs, Chrome, Android, and many more. The cloud computing services offered by Google is known as GCP. Along with infrastructure, Google provides a list of other services like data storage, big data, analytics, and machine learning. When Google Cloud started. With the launch of App Engine in April 2008, Google Cloud started providing an environment for developing, testing, and hosting web applications in Google managed infrastructure. In April 2011, Google Cloud became publicly available. Google keeps adding various cloud services and features since then. Presence of Google Cloud Platform. Currently, Google Cloud locations are North America, South America, Europe, Asia, and Australia. All locations are divided into regions and zones. Google Cloud Platform has presence in 22 regions and 61 zones. There is high possibility that when you view this video, these numbers are changed because Google keeps reviewing the requirements and market to add new regions and zones. The region is geographic area that has multiple zones. A zone is a location where actual Google Cloud Platform resources sites. You can consider this as a data center where physical infra stands. While moving your environment to GCP, you can plan of using multiple zones in the same region or over multiple regions for load balancing and high availability. You also need to consider the selection of location to meet your latency, availability, durability requirements. How to connect to Google Cloud? Google provides two methods to connect and manage your Google Cloud Platform resources and projects. One is Google Cloud Console. This is web-based GUI console, very rich in features and options. You can browse https console.cloud.google.com to access GCP. The next is Google Cloud SDK. Google Cloud SDK is the command line tool to manage your Google Cloud environment. Google developed G-Cloud command line tool for command line management of cloud. For the first time, you can download and install Google Cloud SDK from below link. After that, you can manage and use Google Cloud SDK from your local system or server. Resources in Google Cloud. Cloud computing is all about using resources of provider over internet and concentrate on your prime work rather than infrastructure and resource management. Resources can be anything on which your environment works, like disk, CPU, VM, infrastructure, tools, network, etc. Google divides resources into three types. Global. Any resource that can be accessed across regions and zones is considered as global resource like disk snapshot, network, voice image, firewall, routers, etc. Region-wise resources or regional resources. Some resources are limited to access within regions like static IP, subnet, regional managed instances. Zonal resources or zone-wise resources. Resources allowed to region in called resources allocated to the zonal or zone-wise resources. Resources allowed one zonal or three. Zonal or zone-wise resources. Resources allocated to zone is called zonal resources. Zone level resources are meant for local zone only, and in case zone goes down, all resources of particular zone will be down. Zone level resources are VM instances, disk, zone managed instances. Projects in Google Cloud. Project is the entity to which you can assign any resources. It's similar to AWS Account ID. To start working with GCP and to create instances, first you must create project. Project consists of settings, permissions, and other descriptions. In normal words, project is the bucket of instances server over multiple regions and zones that can communicate each other. You can have multiple projects and inter-project communication is possible using shared VPC. Each project have name ID and unique number for identification. Project ID will be unique across the GCP and you can't reuse it even after deletion of project. As mentioned in image, this is our project name MS SQL Fund. The project ID is MS SQL Fund and this is our project number. We have multiple cloud providers in market like AWS, Azure, along with GCP. So what makes GCP different to choose? First, you must understand that you need not to choose the cloud provider on the basis of number of people supporting it or number of people using it, but you need to understand the need of your environment, the cost and budget of your environment before choosing any cloud provider. So benefits and the characteristics which makes GCP different is security. Google is handling end-to-end security model from last 15 years for Google, Gmail and YouTube accounts. Google security policies are the robust and considered safest one in market. Encryption. Everything in Google is encrypted. Your data, your network communication and transmission is automatically encrypted. You need not to worry or to deploy additional process for this. Pricing. Google offers two pricing models, provision and usage. Provision means I need this much of resource and Google will bind them, get resources to you. It doesn't matter you will use them or not. The best one is usage. Charge me whatever I will use. This is the best part that cloud provides you. Billing by second. This is the unique functionality GCP provides. GCP works on charging by second concept, which lead to a saving of dollars. GCP bills you on 1 second increment with 1 minute minimum. For example, if you use your machine for 30 seconds, Google will charge you for 1 minute because the minimum amount is 1 minute. But after that, in case you use your minute for 1 minute 1 second, you will be charged for 1 minute 1 second. And after some time, again, if you use one network, Google search everything on internet for largest search engine in the world. Also, Google owns largest private network across the globe. This makes Google armed with robust network. Innovations. Google brings lots of innovation and tools based on their long research and output of their internal tools like BigQuery and Kubernetes. We have completed our first lesson in GCP learning series Introduction to Google Cloud. Today I will take you to the steps of creating free Google Cloud Platform account with $300 free credits. Today's topics are Google Cloud Platform, free account, always free services, $300 free USD credit, best practices of creating and using GCP account, how to create free account with $300 USD, walkthrough of Google Cloud Console dashboard. Let's explore what is GCP free trial account and its features. GCP offers you free trial account with $300 USD credits to each new individual account created on GCP. This is marketing strategy to welcome learners, students, developers to try GCP environment and build new or shift existing product and environments on GCP. That means Google welcomes everyone to use these free services and see what all features and what the stability they are providing and what options they are providing so that you can plan to develop your new products or your existing products to move on Google Cloud Platform. Business accounts are not welcomed for free. This service is only for individual accounts. Google will ask you for credit card details for registration and charge a nominal fees against it. Please don't worry because it will be refunded automatically. Your credit card details are safe with Google and Google will not charge anything against it until you manually upgrade your account to paid one. That means your free tier account will remain free until unless you manually upgrade it to paid one. As we say free, it comes up with lots of restrictions because Google can't allow you to use their complete infra in free. So there are lots of restrictions so that small applications or developers or learners or students can test their application over Google Cloud Platform. Google Cloud Platform free tier comes up with two features, always free and $300 USD credits. We will discuss the each one in brief in coming slides. Always free, as name implies, is always free with some restrictions. Any usage of always free services will not be charged under your $300 free credits. It's always free beyond your free trial period of 12 months or 365 days. Google provides a list of services with some quota limitations or restrictions that you can use freely. Let me take you to Google Cloud Platform always free page and see what all services are available and what the quota limitation of each services. Google Cloud Platform free tier account. As mentioned in the slide, this account comes up with two features, always free products and $300 free credits. In always free products, you will get a chance to use Google services and products including BigQuery and Compute Engine completely free up to their monthly quota limit. Usage of these services will not be charged under your billing account or from your $300 free credits. So let's explore what all products and services are listed under Always Free. There are a list of products and services under Always Free like Cloud Run with 2 million requests per month, Firestore with 1 GB limit, Compute Engine, one machine, your cloud storage of 5 GB, your cloud functions of 2 million invocations per month, Kubernetes with one journal cluster, App Engine with 28 hours per day. That means you can run two machines. Stackdriver 50 GB, BigQuery till 1 terabyte, Vision AI, speech to text, natural language, and their list of services. You can also click on View Details for further details of Always Free account. So this is Always Free. Always Free program provide limited access to many Google Cloud resources free of charge. Resources are provided at intervals, usually monthly. Always Free resources are not credits. They do not accumulate or roll over from one interval to next. There are multiple details regarding free usage program and this is free usage limited. App Engine F instances 28 hours per day. 9 hours per day, B instance 1 GB of address data, auto machine language 5,000 units predicted per month, and this list is quite long. And this is very crucial to know exceeding always free usage limit. Any usage above always free usage limit is automatically billed at standard rates. You can help control cost by setting up budget and alerts through Google Cloud Console. That means any of these services, if you are using under always free and you breach the monthly quota, Google will automatically charge you against your billing account. To ensure it will not happen or you will get the timely notification, set up budget and alerts that we will see in next session how to set up a budget alerts. $300 free USD credit. This is the second feature of Google Cloud Platform free tier account. Google is giving $300 as a free credit for each new individual account created on GCP. Credit will be converting to local currency based on your profile when you review it in billing section. This is to ease the user experience. You must ensure to upgrade your free trial account to paid one before the end of free trial period of 12 months. Once your free trial period is completed, Google will stop your all the resources in free tier account. Google will give you 30-day grace period to renew your account or to access your data. After that, everything will be deleted. Full details of free tier account is available at Google link. Let me take you to Google link and we will see what all free services
and free options are available. The next feature of Google Cloud Platform free tier account is $300 free credits. New customers will get 300 to spend on Google Cloud Platform during their free trial period. You can click here for more details. So Google Cloud Fleet gives you free resources to learn about Google Cloud services by trying them your own. Whether you are completely new to platform or need to learn the basics, you are established customer and want to expand a new solution, the Google Cloud Free tier has you covered. The Google Cloud Free tier has two parts: 12 months free trial period with $300 credits and always free. We already discussed always free products and services. Let's explore about $300 free credits. So this is something we already mentioned, that Google will ask you to submit your credit card details, but it will not charge anything without your confirmation or until you upgrade your system automatically to paid one. Also, at the registration time, it will ask you a minimal amount, but that will automatically get refunded your account. End of free trial period, we already discussed. You must upgrade your system before end of trial period. Google will shut down your resources at the end of the trial period. Google will give you 30 days of grace period. This is very important. Recovering data. Whether you are in 12 months of trial period or 30 days of grace period after that, in case you want to recover your data from Google Cloud because you don't want to continue or whatever reason you have, you need to contact Google Cloud Platform billing support to export such data. You can't directly copy any data out of Google environment to your local system. Also ensure once your grace period is ended, Google will not be able to recover your data because your data will automatically be deleted after 30 days of grace period. Best practices of creating and using GCP account. Before we start our demo of creation of GCP free tier account, I will suggest you to go through with the best practices and try to adopt as much as you can. I will suggest not to use your personal email ID for GCP Demo Lab. Create new Google account for GCP Demo. This will help you keep both accounts separate because your personal account may be linked to multiple apps or social platforms, and using the same account will may lead to data sharing kind of issues. So we will create the separate account for this demo. Always use incognito window or private browsing. This will help you to ensure that no cache or password will be saved. This is to secure your system. Configure your account for two-step verification. Google gives you a feature of two-step verification. That means along with the password, you need to add additional Google code. This is a second layer of security. Save your account for password stealing or hacking. In case your password is stolen by someone, then even he will not be able to log into your account because he will not get the G code. You need to provide verification code for two-layer verification or two-step verification after entering your password. So let's start the demo. In this demo, we will do the two steps. We will create a free account with $300 USD in Google Cloud Platform, and we will walk through Google Cloud Console dashboard. Let's start the demo for creating free tier Google Cloud Platform account. We will take you to the steps and walk through the dashboard. For this, you need to open URL cloud.google.com/free. Once you open this URL, you need to click on Get Started for Free, or you can click on Sign In. So once you click on Get Started for Free, it will take you to the login screen. Here you need to enter your Google account ID. If you do not have any, you can click the Create Account and it will take you to the account creation page, and you can create a new Google account. As suggested in presentation, please create a separate Google account for GCP Demo Labs. Separate ID that I have created, I will mention here. Password of account. And it's asking for G code, two-step verification. This is one-time code, so no use after that. Once you provide your user ID and password, it will take you to the Google Cloud Platform page for registration. So this is our step one. It's asking you to select country. So we will select India. It's asking to accept terms and conditions. We will accept it and we will continue.
It's redirecting us to step 2. Now it's asking for account types. So our is individual account. You need to provide your tax information. PAN number and TAN number is optional. Here you need to provide your address. This is our demo account, so I am skipping the complete address, but for your environment or for your account, you can provide the complete address while you are registering on Google Cloud Platform for your projects or environment. So once you go down, it asking for payment methods. Here you need to provide your credit card details, and once you provide your credit card details, it will take you to the authentication page and it will charge some nominal amount from your card. But please don't worry, it will refund back to your card automatically in some time. This is only to registration purpose and verification purpose and to ensure that this is not a robot who is doing this registration. So once you click on it, it will take you to the credit card payment authentication page, and once payment is successful, it will automatically redirect you to Google Cloud Console dashboard page. Due to security reasons, I am skipping the credit card payment part, but it will automatically take you to the dashboard page. So please register and we will meet you at the dashboard page. Hope you entered your credit card details, and also you see a warning that Google is going to charge you a small amount and it will going to be refunded. No worries about that, it's going to refund. So once you click your start free trial, you are in Google Cloud Platform console page. So welcome to Google Cloud Platform console page. This is the first time we are at Google Cloud Platform page, and this is the welcome message. And Scalar is saying your free trial period of $300 in credit to spend over next 12 months is enabled. So got it. This is our Google Cloud Console dashboard page. So before taking a walkthrough to the dashboard, I'm going to sign out and sign it again to see the login process of Google Cloud Console page for future steps. So once you sign out, you need to browse the URL console.cloud.google.com. It will take you to the login screen. Separate ID that I have created, I will mention here. Password of account. And it's asking for G code, two-step verification. This is one-time code, so no use after that. After providing correct G code and successful authentication, it would automatically redirect you to Google Cloud Platform console page. So this is our dashboard and home page of Google Cloud Console. At top, you can see we have our information message, free trial status, along with credits and the days left to use it. So currently it's showing 21,406 Indian rupees, which is somewhere around 300 USD dollars. For the ease of the user understanding, Google automatically convert the credits into local currency, and days remaining is 361 days are currently remaining. You can dismiss this message from here. This is our home page. So this is our Google Cloud Platform dashboard page. You can change the dashboard look and feel according to your requirement. You can move the cards like this, and you can hide the cards from here, or you can go to the customization if you want to hide or unhide multiple cards at what time, like this, or I want to enable this card. So it doesn't mean that once you hide the card you will not be able to. You just need to go to customize and you can enable it again. Once you click done, so your dashboard look and feel is changed. Activity. In activity, it will show the activities you have performed under this Google Cloud account profile. So there are list of activities I have done in last 4 days after creation of account. So creation of project, insertion of data, create data sets, update data sets. There are multiple things I have done. Also in notification, whenever you perform any activity, it will show the notification in notification bar. You can click here to see the free trial status again, and you can dismiss it back. This is the place from where you can browse all the available projects in your Google Cloud account. So currently we have 3 projects. If you want to create any new project, you need to click here. It will take you to the project creation page, and you can enter the name according to your wish. My first test project, and you can create it. See, the currently project is creating, and it also comes in a notification bar. You can view it by click here. My first test project is mentioned in our initial session, introduction to GCP. We know that project ID and project number is unique across the Google environment. In case I delete this project and this project is no longer active, still Google is not going to assign this project ID to anyone. Today's topics are GCP service models, IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, CaaS, and FaaS. Google Cloud Platform service models. Cloud computing support three types of service models based on infra and application support or access to users. These are generic to public cloud vendors and private clouds. IaaS called infrastructure as a service, PaaS called platform as a service, SaaS called software as a service. Google Cloud Platform provides five types of service models, including three generic ones. Other than IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS, GCP provides FaaS called Function as a Service and CaaS called Container as a Service. Software as a Service SaaS. SaaS is top level of cloud service in which users are not aware about cloud provider software or tools used in this process. Everything is hidden from user and he is supposed to use cloud-based apps over the internet. SaaS is as-you-go service means setup is ready and services are running. You just need to pay and start using them. No need to wait or configuration time is required. This is something like Gmail account, Google Drive comes under SaaS services. Platform as a service called PaaS. PaaS function at a lower level than SaaS software as a service, typically providing a platform on which software can be developed and deployed. PaaS providers abstract much of the work of dealing with servers and give client an environment in which operating system and server software as well as underlying server hardware and network infrastructure are taken care of, leaving users free to focus on their business side of scalability and the application development of their product or services. This is something like web hosting companies and web hosting services. In PaaS, you can develop your application, you can choose to configure your application according to your requirement, you can customize it on the basis of environment you have asked from cloud vendors. Other than SaaS, where services are fully configured and you just need to use them after paying the amount. Containers as a service called CAS. Container is the set of application files, dependencies, configurations needed for runtime environments. Baseline OS or hardware or software is completely abstract. CAS is one of the new kind of cloud service and available with few vendors and similar to PAS. In CAS, virtualized containers are provided with complete framework and environment to customer to develop applications. Customer need not to worry about deployments and integrations into hosting environments. Google CAS is built on open source Kubernetes system. Kubernetes gives you the option of working on GCP cloud, on-premise private cloud, or integration of both like hybrid cloud. Function as a services called FaaS. Google Cloud Function are serverless cloud services. You can develop your single purpose function using Node.js, Python, Java, and attach them to event. Once event occurred, the function will execute in managed environment and you need not to worry about underlying hardware or software used. This is typically used when deploying microservice applications. Webhooks and IoT are some of the popular usage of FaaS. Other cloud providers also provide FaaS services. AWS Lambda function is one of the popular FaaS service comes under Amazon Web Services. Infrastructure as a service. IaaS is bottom line support by cloud services. Infrastructure is building block of any environment. In IaaS, computing solution and storage over the cloud is provisioned and provided by automated means.
In other terms, cloud providers rent their servers in IaaS. Users need to pay based on their usage or infrastructure provision. Users are free to use OS and software based on their requirements. They need not to worry about hardware and data center management. This is something like using Google Compute Engine services to develop and deploy computer machines on basis of your requirement. It can be Windows, it can be Linux, it can be Solaris. Let's have some of the major differences between IaaS, PaaS, CaaS, FaaS, and SaaS. As name implies, we already discussed, IaaS means infrastructure as a service, PaaS means platform as a service, CaaS means container as a service, FaaS is function as a service, and SaaS is software as a service. IaaS comes into the picture when we are using virtual infrastructure like VM and network. PaaS comes into the picture to develop and deploy applications. CaaS comes into the picture for virtualized containers with preloaded app binaries for runtime environment. FaaS comes into the picture for event-driven functions. SaaS for ready-made pre-built services. IaaS is best to use for existing systems or integration with existing systems. PaaS is best to use with web-facing application. CaaS is best to use for running in multiple environment, on cloud, on-premise or hybrid cloud. FaaS is best to use for event-based automated single-purpose action. SaaS is ready to user services, and then when you need, you just need to pay and you can use them. Let's have an example of each type of service model. In IaaS, GCE, Google Compute Engine comes where you can deploy VM machines on OS chosen by you. In PaaS, Google App Engine comes where you can develop and deploy your applications. In CaaS, Kubernetes support comes where virtualized containers is there to help the customers. FAS is event-specific scripts for your requirements. For example, you can configure a function triggered for your budget alerts. In SAS, we have multiple ready-to-use services like Gmail and Google Drives. Let's come to the advantage and disadvantages of each service model. In IaaS, you have to pay as per use. It is scalable, location independent. You need not to worry whether data center or zone is available at your location or not, and DR support. DR something gives stability to your environment and you need not to worry about that. And disadvantages are data security. You need to be dependent on vendor or you need to rely on vendor words for data security. Vendor dependency, you need to depend on vendor for data center and outages happen at vendor's end. Infra team will be owned by you to manage complete hardware and sometimes it's become very costly and difficult to have properly skilled persons to manage your environment. For PS, advantages are highly scalable, easy migration, reduced deployment and development time because you can concentrate on your developments other than concentrating on hardware and softwares. Disadvantages are vendor support or vendor dependency similar to IaaS and data security similar to IaaS. For CS, advantages are multi-environment support like we have already discussed. Kubernetes supports on-cloud, on-premise, and hybrid cloud environment. Fast and simple with preloaded app configurations. Disadvantages of CS service model are applicable for limited applications. Limited applications are supporting CS and poor management can lead to over budget. CS are very fast. When you are launching a container, it's very fast and sometimes if you are not managing them properly, you didn't notice that you are over budgeting your project. Advantages of FAS are scalability, fast and simple, pay only when function runs. You can write the script of your function and attach it to event. In case event doesn't occur, you need not to pay anything. Vendor lock-in, that means that script is completely dependent on vendor environment. You can't move the same script to some other vendors. For different vendors, you need to develop a different script on basis of their events and commands supported. Benefits of SAS service model is low cost, quick configuration, web-based connectivity, and scalability. And disadvantages are infra is completely hidden from you and limited customization is possible because these are ready-to-use services and customization possibilities are very less. The journey from FAS to SAS it depends on configurability and agility. If you are open to configure your environment or you want configuration on basis of your requirement, you will move from SAS to IAS. And if you want everything to be there, to ready to use, you will move from IAS to SAS, from configurability to agility. Today we will go through with Google Cloud Cheat Sheet, a handy booklet for each one using Google Cloud. Today's topics are Google Cloud Cheat Sheet and most commonly used Google Cloud services. This is Google Cloud Cheat Sheet document. This document is shared by Google as and when any new service is added or this document got updation. This document will tells you about all major services provided by Google and sub-services under each header. We can see the major services are compute, storage, networking, database, gaming, migration to GCP, mobile, and each major service has some of the sub services. Like under compute you can find cloud run, cloud functions, compute engines, kubernetes, app engines, bare metal solutions. Similarly in storage you can find cloud firestore, cloud storage, persistent disk, local ssd. In database you will find cloud spinner, cloud sql. Similarly each major service has some of their sub services. This document is very useful for developers or for administrators who are planning to work on Google Cloud Platform or who are planning to migrate their environment to Google Cloud Platform. This tells you that what all is available with Google and how you can utilize them, and you can check if any of the services falling under your use case and you can plan to use them. Commonly used Google Cloud services. Google Cloud provides list of products and services. In previous slide, we had seen Google Cloud cheat sheet and list of services are quite high. We will be discussing some of the commonly used services, and you can refer cloud.google.com/products for list of complete services in details. We will be discussing compute, storage, database, networking, big data, and machine learning in this chapter because these are the most commonly used GCP services in market. Compute is one of the mostly used services in Google Cloud. Compute consists of virtual machines, app engines, multiple other compute functions to support requirements of different kind of customer base. It consists services like serverless computing, app engines, Kubernetes and containers, and virtual machines. We will be discussing these components in upcoming GCP chapters. Next is storage service. GCP provides data storage option for your files on the cloud. These files can be your application file, backup files, media, setup, or binaries. GCP provides multiple storage services like cloud storage, persistent disk on compute engine in both variants, standard persistent disk or solid state persistent disk. For some of the highly transactional applications, we need SSD disk, so Google Cloud is also providing SSD persistent disk. Fully managed network share in file store and local SSDs. Well, support of local SSDs ensures that you can deploy your mission critical and huge systems in GCP environment which need the local SSD for high performance. Database service. The database is one of the critical and commonly used service on GCP. Google Cloud provides multiple SQL and NoSQL options for your environment. Database services in GCPs are Cloud SQL is consists of MySQL, Postgres, and Microsoft SQL Server. Cloud Spanner, fully managed for mission critical and highly scalable relational database systems, and NoSQL database, file store for document like data, and Cloud Bigtable for tabular like data. Networking. Networking is basic requirement to connect GCP console, GCP projects, and resources within GCP projects. This means the use of any services will add network services by default. Because if you don't have network connectivity, you can't connect to a Google console, and if you are not able to connect to a Google console platform, then you are not able to access your projects or resources. Google Cloud Network Service provides a list of services, and some of majorly used are firewalls and routers, virtual private cloud VPC, load balancing, cloud DNS, cloud CDN, and cloud VPN.
Big data. Big data service in GCP allows you to process and query big data and complicated queries. Major services in big data service are BigQuery, Cloud Data Flow, Dataproc, PubSub messaging services, and Data Studio. As name implies, big data consists of a huge size of data volume, and processing that data needs very high computing powers. So GCP supports that. And you can plan GCP environment for requirement like big data processing. Machine learning. Machine learning is one of the critical and complicated services provided by Google Console platform. Machine learning services in GCP allows you to use preloaded APIs for your requirements. You can develop your logics and business models over these. Google Cloud offers a variety of APIs that enables you to take advantage of Google machine learning without creating or training your models. Video intelligence, speech to text, cloud version, cloud natural language, and cloud transitions is some of them that Google is providing for you to use. Cloud Shell. Cloud Shell is web-based command line console to manage your Google Cloud account. Topics are what is Cloud Shell, how Cloud Shell works, and demo of Cloud Shell. What is Cloud Shell? Opposite to Google SDK that you need to download or install on your system and need key-based authentication to access your GCP environment, Cloud Shell is web-based command line feature to manage your infrastructure and application. It's a web-based tool that allows you to manage your GCP environment from command line. There is no need to install and configure Google Cloud SDK. You just need to connect to Google Cloud Console and launch Cloud Shell from there. Cloud Shell comes up with 5 GB of persistent disk to secure and save your data. For the first time, you need to activate the Cloud Shell. After that, you just need to launch it. Google provides a Cloud Shell with preloaded long list of tools and softwares like Kubernetes, Docker, MySQL, Python, Ruby, Node.js. This ease up your installation and configuration part for both administrators and developers. On the other hand, if you download the SDK on your local environment and configure all these tools and softwares for your system, is going to take a huge time and configuration part is also a bit tricky. But using a cloud shell, everything is ready-made and you can concentrate on your core development. In last slide, we have seen what is Cloud Shell. Now we will see how it works in background. Whenever user requested a Cloud Shell, Google Cloud Platform provisioned a E2 small Google Compute Engine virtual machine running on a Debian-based Linux operating system. Each user session will get a separate machine and machine will be deleted after 1 hour of inactive sessions. That means in case 100 of users are using Cloud Shell right now, that means Google will be running 100 of different machines for each of them. A persistent disk of 5 GB is mapped as a home directory with each new machine. A persistent disk of 5 GB is mapped as a home directory with new VM each time. That means as and when user requested, new machine will be created and persistent disk of 5 GB in which you have saved your data will be attached to that VM automatically. Cloud Shell automatically authenticates using credential provided to log in GCP console. That means we need not to provide any special credentials or separate credentials to connect to Cloud Shell. Cloud Shell is global service offered by Google. Based on your user location, the nearest zone will serve the machine for your Cloud Shell. That means it doesn't mean a particular zone or region is specifically built to support a Cloud Shell functionality. This is a global service and each zone having that functionality on basis of your actual or physical location, Google Cloud decide which zone will serve you. VM assigned for Cloud Shell to use with root permissions. You can run root level actions with this machine. So you have the full permissions over this machine. VM machine based on Linux OS, so that helps you to use it on basis of your Linux knowledge without extra learning. In case you found it slow, you can enable boost mode for Cloud Shell. By enabling boost mode, your Cloud Shell VM from default E2 small machine type offering to E2 medium VM instance. So it will upgrade it to the next level of machine and increase the power of your machine. It will disconnect your user session, but it will be free and Google do it without any charges. In case something goes wrong with configuration files, Cloud Shell will stop immediately. You can add Cloud Shell safe mode equals to true in URL to log in safe mode to troubleshoot the issues. In safe mode, you will log in as a root user. By default, you will be logged in as your account, but you have the root permissions. Using a safe mode, you will be connected as a root user. So let's start with demo. In demo, we will see what is Cloud Shell. We will try some basic commands. We will see how we can enable the boost mode and how we can start Cloud Shell in safe mode. To launch a Cloud Shell, you first need to connect your Google Cloud Platform account, and this is our home page. In top bar, you can see activate Cloud Shell. So this is the first time you have to activate it. After that, from the top, you can see we have an option of activating Cloud Shell. So we will click it, and processing is going on to activate it. It's asking to continue. Provisioning your Google Cloud Shell machine. As discussed in slide, Google will provision separate machine for each user. So this is the Cloud Shell machine, and Cloud Shell is connected using the same credentials by which I have connected to my GCP console. I connected automatically with my Google console account, and I'm having the root permissions. So let's see what is the current parent directory. Currently I am in my profile. So let's create one file here, and we will disconnect this session and reconnect the Cloud Shell, and we will see if that file is persistent to ensure that whatever file we will save or whatever scripts we will create here will be persistent and will not get destroyed or will not get deleted once you disconnect your session. So add some text here. Let's save the file. Let's check what is there in file. So reconnect test. So we will disconnect this session. Our cloud session is disconnected. We will close it. We will close it. So let's reconnect with Cloud Shell. It's again provisioning the machine, because as mentioned in slide, every time you connect, Google will create a separate machine for you. So again, we will move it to a separate window. So let's see what is the parent directory. We are here. Let's see if we have the file. Yeah, it's there, and we connect to test. That means whatever file, whatever script you will generate and save here, it will be available even if you connect your session or you will close your session. So this is something completely a Linux-based system. You can see the Linux-based system. You can check the version and OS version used. So this is the details. All Linux command will work here. So your Linux knowledge, you can explore Google Cloud Shell. To enable the boost mode, you need to click here and you can click the boost mode. Enabling boost mode is a temporary solution or temporarily increase your VM machine power. Once you enable it, all sessions will be in boost mode for next 24 hours. This is currently in experimental basis and there is additional limit in future. So there are lots of things. Just restart. It will reconnect your machine because Google will provision a different machine for you. So Google is provisioning the new machine. This is our boost mode Cloud Shell VM. Version, OS version and other things will be same. The only difference will be the hardware power, which is increased from E2 small, it upgraded to E2 medium. One more thing we will check that we have created a file in E2 small machine. So let's see if that file is available in E2 medium. It's available. So whatever type of machine Cloud Shell is using in background, as and when machine comes up, it will attach your persistent disk of 5 GB and whatever files are there, you can access them. Now the last thing is how to connect using safe mode. You can click here. Enabling safe mode will restart your Cloud Shell VM and login you as a root. This allows you to fix any errors in files in your home directory, then execute on SSH session. Click it. Again, new machine will be provisioned for you. This is our Cloud Shell in safe mode and we have logged in as a root user. To confirm, let's run the command and we can see we have connected as a root user. Friends, gcloud is a very powerful thing and complete Linux scripting and Linux commands is applicable here. Along with that, it's inbuilt with gcloud function, which is the way to manage your Google Cloud account. So in C, gcloud is already there. You can run this command to explore all Google Cloud parameters and functions or options available. You can use them and you can explore them for your command line management. The list is very high and I hope it will be helpful for you. Today we will discuss about billing in Google Cloud Platform. Today's topics are billing account management, cloud billing account types, types of payment profiles, cloud billing access control, billing data export, billing and budget alerts. Billing account management is all about billing functions and charges in Google Cloud Platform on basis of resource consumption for your services and your products. This is the image we have taken from Google Cloud documentation and we can see billing accounts are associated with projects. One billing account can be associated with multiple projects and on basis of your resource consumption in particular project, billing will be generated. Once billing details are finalized, it will move to payment profiles and Google will make a payment on basis of that. Billing account management is crucial from budgeting point of view. GCP gives you multiple options to manage to bill effectively to ensure that you have not paid a single penny extra and you will save as much as you can from your Google Cloud Platform environment. You can have multiple billing accounts under one account. One billing account can have multiple projects, but not vice versa. That means one project cannot be billed under multiple billing accounts. You can stop the billing of any selected project and this project will no longer be able to use product and services which are not free. That means services comes under always free can be used by this project but any service which are paid will not be applicable for this project. The billing account generates project-wise bills based on resources used. At the bottom line, Google bills you for resource used and you need to assign resources to the project to use them. So instead of bill you separately for each resource, Google bills you on basis of project resource utilization. This is something we have discussed in the image we have taken from Google documentation. One billing account will work on single currency and will generate a single invoice for all projects assigned to that billing account. That means if your company or your organization need to have a payment in multiple currencies, you need to create a separate billing accounts for them. Also, if you want each project to have a separate invoice, then you also need to have a separate billing accounts and you can assign single project to each billing account. You can have different billing accounts in case of multiple currency payment is needed. Cloud billing account versus payment profile. By name, both look same or similar, but they are not same. They have a different purpose and functionality in Google Cloud environment. Cloud billing account is a cloud level resource, whereas payment profile is Google level resource. Cloud billing account track all your cost of your projects and resources associated with it, whereas payment profiles ensure all cost is converted into final transaction amount and transaction made successfully and payment transferred to Google account. Whereas payment profile ensures all payment is successfully credited to Google account on the basis of cost generated by cloud billing account. Cloud billing account result a single invoice per billing account, whereas payment profile can have multiple bills and invoices for your Google Cloud environment or for different customers. Operates in single currency, whereas payment profiles can work in multiple currency and applicable for across the globe payment options. Defines who pay for given set of resources. This is the internal thing for your organization in cloud billing account, whereas in payment profile it stores the payment instructions, how actual payment will made either through credit card or checks or your bank account details. Cloud billing account is connected to Google payment profiles to have a final payment, and payment profile ensure the payment is successful and save all the information in their storage area. Cloud billing account gives you a multiple IAM roles in Google Cloud Platform, like who can create a billing account, who can view the billing account, who can change the project billing account. Whereas in payment profile section, you can control who can view the invoices or who can download the invoices. This is the basic difference that you should know before starting billing transactions in Google Cloud Platform. Cloud billing account types. Google provides you two type of billing accounts, online or self-server account or offline or invoice-based accounts. In online one, payment charge automatically from your debit card or credit card or direct debit from ACH debit from your account. Whereas in offline payment can be via check or bank transfer. Online is preferred for individual customers or small scale or mid scale enterprises. Offline is preferred for large enterprises which have a huge environment in Google Cloud, and on basis of their weekly or monthly consumption, Google will charge and send an invoice details to them and they will make a payment. In online, cost will be charged automatically through payment information connected in billing account, whereas in offline one, invoices are sent via mail, emails, or fax. Invoices, tax receipt, and tax invoice can be found in Google Cloud Console for both type of billing accounts. This is crucial because when you are creating your account in Google Cloud Platform and setting up billing account, you can choose which option you want, and on basis of your eligibility, you can have the correct one for you. Type of account, profiles or payment profiles. When you create your account in GCP, Google gives you two type of option. You can create two type of accounts or payment profiles, individual or business type. This information should be correct as this cannot be changed after creation of your account. So in individual one, you will make payment of your own account and you cannot add other users to manage your payment profiles. Whereas in business one, you are there to manage payment, but it's not your payment. You are making payment on behalf of your company, organization, or institutions. You can add multiple users to view and manage payment profiles and payment portfolios. This is something similar when you are talking about organizations moving to GCP and they have a group of team working on finance and billing part, and each member in team will have some access over billing account section in GCP. Cloud billing access control and billing roles. As discussed in previous slide, for an organization, there's a group of team which will manage complete finance and budgeting process in your Google Cloud Platform account. For this, each team member needs some rights over the account, but those rights should not be administrator one. That's why we have a multiple billing roles in Google Cloud that you can choose and provide according to users' working functionality. Cloud billing, with the help of cloud identity and access management, provides you the ability to control the permission on billing functions and permission to specific users. It means you can choose which users will be working on which function and which right need to be given. You can plan which user will have which extent billing permissions. GCP provides 5 types of billing roles. One is billing account administrator. This is the administrator which can do anything in your billing account. It can create new billing account, delete all billing accounts, edit billing accounts, everything it can do in billing account section of your Google Cloud Platform account. Second is billing account creator. It can create new billing accounts in your GCP account but can't modify the existing ones. Project billing manager provides access to assign a project's billing account or disable its billing. It means this user can assign a project to particular billing account or can disable the billing of existing projects. But this does not grant any permissions on project resources. That means this user will have a permission to manage the billing functionality of that particular project or any project, but it can't change or access or modify the resources associated with any project. Fourth is billing account user. Billing account user provides access to associate projects with billing accounts with a combination of project creator role. These two roles allows a user to create new projects and link them to billing account. And last is billing account viewer. It will give you a viewing permission of your billing account. It can see all the cost information and the transactions, but it can't make any changes or modify anything. Billing data export gives you a functionality to fetch the cost used by each resource and project for later analysis. For this, you need to enable a dataset, BigQuery dataset, and you need to enable the billing data export. Google will push your billing data to dataset in BigQuery, and later you can use your scripts to fetch the data for analysis, or you can use Google Studio for visual analysis. So let's see what all other details we have in. Let's go with the complete details of billing data export. Cloud billing data export helps you in data-driven decision for cost-effective cloud resource management. Google will send your data to BigQuery dataset. You can export BigQuery data for analysis or use Google Data Studio for visual analysis. BigQuery data is not live and you may have some delay in data push. BigQuery captures billing data from configuration of BigQuery dataset. You will not be able to see the previous data. We'll suggest to enable BigQuery dataset just after creation of billing account to ensure you haven't missed any data for analysis. One BigQuery dataset for each billing account. That means as soon as you have a new billing account, you need to create a separate BigQuery dataset for that. Billing and budget alerts. As name implies, you can configure the alerts on your cloud cost usage. This is very helpful to ensure that you are not going to overspend. Busting and alerting helps you for live monitoring on cloud cost and timely corrective actions. You can configure alerts for complete billing account or limited to project or any services. That means Google is giving multiple options to configure your alerts. Alerts can be configured for stakeholders as well as your PubSub. PubSub is global messaging solutions which can redirect your alerts to a cloud functions and which can be further used for automatic actions. That means in case you want to have a particular action to be taken in case of your threshold breach, you can plan it using PubSub. So this is the image we have taken from Google Documents, and we can see budget alerts can be sent to billing admin using emails, and these alerts can be sent to multiple stakeholders. 5 stakeholders is allowed each budget alert. Also, budget alert can be sent to PubSub, and PubSub will redirect it to cloud functions, and here is the API which have the code by which you can automate the action in case of alert breach. So let's start with demo. In this demo, we will review Google Cloud Billing Account, what all options are available in billing account management, and how we can set up a billing alert, how we can set up a billing data export. For this, first you need to log in your Google Cloud Platform. I'm not taking you again with the login process because I think we are familiar with that. So once you log in with your Google Cloud credentials in your Google Cloud Platform account, you need to click here and you will see the option of billing. You need to click here to see all billing options available in GCP.
This is our billing page, and first of all I want to show you your free credit status. So current amount is 21,407 Indian rupees and 353 days are remaining to use them. You can upgrade it from here. My current billing account name is my billing account. You can manage billing accounts from here. Once you click here, there's only one billing account currently in my account. You can create the new billing account from here. Once you click here, it will ask you for the payment details to create a new billing account. You can click here for my projects. You can see 4 projects are available in my account, and for one project billing is disabled. That means this project will not be able to use any paid services. All always free services will be available to use in this project. Other than that, no other services or resources can be used under this project. You can change the billing status of this project by clicking here, change billing. It will show the all billing accounts available here. You can select one and you can activate it. If you want to disable the billing of any other project, you can go here and you can click on disable billing. It will disable the billing of your project. Now we will create a user to manage our billing accounts. We have seen we have a different kind of billing roles available in GCP. To do that, you need to select the billing account. That means for each billing account, you can have a separate users. Once I click the billing account section here and the permission is enabled now, you need to click on add members. Once you click here, it will ask you the Google account of new user to which you want to add as a billing user. I have already created one demo user for testing one. So it automatically searched that user and found that. So we'll select this user. Now it asks for role. We will go to billing, and in billing we can see currently available roles are billing user, billing viewer, and billing administrator. So we will give a role of billing viewer and save. So now we have a one administrator user, which is Rohit GCP ADM admin account, and next one is Rohit GCP user 1, which is the viewer account. So this is how you can create a users in your billing account. This is very useful when you are managing a huge accounts and you need a complete team for different functions. So let's move to the billing page again. We will set up a budget alert. Budget alerts are very crucial thing because it will helps you to monitor your usage and alarms you when you are about to reach the threshold. This is to ensure that you are running your system in GCP under the budget. So create budget. It's asking you for the budget alert name. So we will see, we will give budget alert under $10. Now it's asking that this alert should monitor a particular project or you want to monitor all projects under this alert. So I will say all projects. This is very useful when separate projects are related to separate departments and payments are coming separately from them. So you can set up those alerts accordingly. Or for example, if you have separate projects for your production and UAT environments, and you want to ensure that your UAT or non-prod environments are not going to use so much of amount, so in that case, you can set up alert for a specific project. Now it's asking for projects. So I will say select all. Whatever we will be using under this project, it will count. Let's say next. A specific amount or last month spent. This means you can set up an alert with a specific amount or you can compare it with the last month bill. For example, if last month bill is $100, then it will be compared according to that. In case your charges on Google Cloud is going to above $100, is going to alarm you. So we will go with a specific amount, and this alert is for $10, somewhere around 1400 Indian rupees. Include credit in cost. So currently this is free account with $300 free credit. If I uncheck this option, then it will not alarm me when I am using those free credits. It will only allow me when I'm using the actual money. But we want this alert to be on credit as well. So we keep this option checked. We will click next. So it's giving me the three threshold by default on the basis of their analysis 50, 90 and 100, and I will get the alert on breach of these three thresholds. I can add the another threshold on basis of mine one. Let's say I need an alert on 20%. Link monitoring email notification channel to this budget, so you can further send this alert to the notification channels, and you can also connect these alerts to PubSub. You can also connect this alert to PubSub. PubSub is global messaging thing, and this can route your alerts to further process in which you can code your system to perform a specific action or alerts. This is the way you can automate the action in case your budget goes above the threshold. So you need to click finish. It's going to process it now. See, my budget alert is configured. So this tab is currently grayed out. It has the four option because we have given the four thresholds. On breach of each threshold is going to be filled. So next we are going to set up a billing export. So billing export is necessary because to monitor what resources is going to consume, how much amount, a detailed analysis of your environment is required. You will think that you are using the free account, why you need to set up a billing export? But think from the organizational point of view, when you are managing the actual environment, costing is the prime thing. And setting up a billing export will give you a detailed analysis. Once you have the data, you can set up your own scripts for analysis, or you can use Google Studio for visual representation of that data. For this, you first need to enable your BigQuery export. So when we click on Billing Export, it shows your BigQuery is currently disabled. So we need to click on Edit Settings and we need to enable it. So while enabling it, it's trying to fetch billing export dataset and gives you a warning, a message that you need to create a BigQuery dataset first. So you need to go to BigQuery. So we will go to BigQuery. Now BigQuery gives you an option to create a separate project for BigQuery data, or you can use the existing one. So we will use the existing one, my demo project 2. Once you are here, you need to click on create dataset. So dataset IDs, department cost, and create dataset. This option is also need to be acknowledged encryption. Data is encrypted automatically. Select an encryption key management solution. So it gives you two options, Google managed key or customer managed key. Currently, we don't have any key to encrypt our data, so we will go with the Google one. And Google Security is the robust one in the market, so you can rely on Google managed keys. So your department cost data set is ready. You can see under this project, the data set is available. We will again go back to the billing export page and we will see if we have need to cancel it. Again, need to go to edit settings, and now it's automatically fetch the billing export data set. Click on save. Your billing export is enabled now. One thing is to remember that even when you enable your billing export and BigQuery dataset, you will have the data from then only. It will not be able to fetch the data prior to configuration. And once you have that data, you can fetch that data using the scripts, and you can use the Google Studio for visualize analysis. Also, this data is not the live one. You may face some delays, and there is a possibilities that BigQuery dataset and billing export data will not match up with your invoice data with small differences, because as I mentioned, this data is not the live one. The last thing we are going to see in billing is payment settings. So currently we are using the free one, but still in payment settings, you can see your payment ID, your payment profile, every details you have shared with Google, and in payment methods, you can see your credit card that you have given to Google for verification purpose. You can add the another payment methods as well. Also, if you are going to add a billing account, a paid billing account, then it can use the same
credit card, or you can give the another payment methods. Well, this is our billing account options and features in Google Cloud Platform. I request you to go through it and configure the billing export in your Google Cloud test environment. Billing is one of the important and crucial thing from cost management point. For any questions or feedback, please leave comment on videos or contact us.